how did this man become the first influencer? Let's get into it. Let's back up from 1953 to 1930, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act that raised the price of imports to the point that they became unaffordable for all but the wealthy. It also caused mass unemployment, bank failures, and left the economy in shambles. What happened in reaction to that? Well, this is what the map looked like in 1932 when FDR ran. And again in 1936, 1940, and 1944. And you are more than welcome to go ask ChatGPT if we have had any president who has enacted social programs like FDR since FDR, and they'll throw out some things like the Voting Rights Act, which that's a good one, of 1965, but there are a whole bunch that are in there that are like, this isn't even a real thing. Like, this isn't even a real social thing. And then if you ask ChatGPT, they will get to the meat of what I'm talking about. Okay. So we know for a fact that he implemented the minimum living wage, which meant a minimum wage. One could be paid, an unskilled worker could be paid to provide for a family of four. There's a whole bunch of other stuff he had in the New Deal. We've got Social Security. There's some other stuff. Okay, so 1945. And okay, we also know that he did some really awful things. I don't want to sit here and praise him like he was, because no, he wasn't. In his quote unquote farewell speech, which we didn't know it was a farewell speech. It was 1945. He wasn't supposed to. Okay. He warned us about the military industrial complex. And while he was anti-communist, I was asking ChatGPT if it felt like he was kind of a little bit softer on U.S. imperialism. And it seems as though the answer was yes, and that he could have been softening even more. We don't know. He did not get to enact all of the social programs he had in store because, you know, he had a headache and he died. That's what happened. He didn't finish his term. So Truman becomes president automatically. And we've got introduction to the Truman Doctrine, right? So the big time engagement in the Cold War, because they do not want us seeing communism, socialism at all. See, we have here, and you can go ask, but the propaganda that we have in the U.S. often labels the what they show us are authoritarian regimes or dictatorships, and not genuine or socialist regimes, right? So so there goes the Cold War, real anti, right? Okay. Then in comes this man, 1952. He was a New Deal Democrat. But 1952, he marries Nancy, and then 1953, he's hired by GE. And this is so important. I was watching a thing this morning about the kitchen and the way that it was designed in the 50s, and how there was one lady saying, oh, look at how we don't have what we used to have. This was all designed this way. And then there was one lady saying, yes, but it was designed for a particular kind of person. And GE was lighting whole municipalities, had with Defense Department, right? Okay, they're pushing washing machines so that we can buy more clothes, so that it's the capitalists and the people who had those kitchens set up like that was benefiting Palm Color with money. Okay. Okay. So back to GE. So here we have this man on television. There were only 3 channels to choose from, if you weren't aware of that. 3 channels, and he was on everyone's TV 1 hour a week. And he's very charismatic, okay? Very charismatic. That's why we're going to call him the first influencer. So here we have Ron Reagan schmoozing it up to everyone. Boomers, they would have been in their formative years, right? There may be a little bit of lead poisoning in there too, and I may have some too. I am Gen X, got some boomer tendencies. Okay, let me just keep going. So he's pushing rugged American individualism, which will later be known as American values. Okay, so he's on there and he's doing that. Their spokesperson. He would also go into the warehouses because they didn't want people to strike. He would go into the warehouses, very anti-union rhetoric. It was very much letting the people know that if you cause any kind of disruption, you're really hurting everybody. And so it's best to just be, play along. It's that conformity, right? America requires conformity. Okay. He works for them until 1962. He becomes the governor of California. While he is the governor of California, he enacts college tuition. Okay. college tuition, the rise of student loan debt in America. We owe it all to that man. Okay, so he enacts college tuition because the middle class is on the rise, and they don't want that. Right? The education system was designed to create workers, not thinkers. College would create more thinkers, and they don't want the middle class to rise. He also enacted the Mulford Act, right? That was when the Black Panthers, the only militia I can think of, well-regulated militia that the Second Amendment actually fits in line with, was bearing arms in order to defend themselves against the government. And I reported on Mark Comfort the other day because he was his granddaughters. I'm friends with one of them. Stranger friends. Okay, so Mark Comfort was the last one on the lawn that day, and Reagan ran like a little bitch. But the Mulford Act became a thing, right? Gun control, pew pew control. Oh, this is the wrong thing. We had COINTELPRO going on, right? At the same time, and we don't know much about this because the Poor People's Campaign, MLK had just gotten it started at around about the same time that the Rainbow Coalition was getting started. And both of these parties understood the class war, okay? And what happened to them very quickly. Done, right? I didn't even learn about them, and they didn't make it very long, but hey, anytime you see the rainbow, it's a nod to the original Rainbow Coalition founded by Fred Hampton. Apparently, the early 70s were like the best economically that America has ever seen. Again, the middle class was rising, even though college tuition had just been enacted. But then, here he came president in the 1980s. And what did he do? He cut those taxes. He hurt the social programs that FDR had enacted. I believe that the whole bootstrap mentality came from him in the 50s. The idea that minimum wage is for teenagers and not for someone to make a living off of came from him, and that idea. The tax cuts are insane. And Abigail Disney talks about how her grandfather paid a 90% income tax rate and still amassed a fortune. And I know that I was affected by these cuts. I can remember standing in the food stamp line and my mom made too much, but I know she didn't make enough. You know what I mean? So I was directly affected by this. Not only did he do all those things and make the statement about the government didn't need to be interfering or helping, I don't know, something that was supposed to be pivotal, but, definitely, right, responsible for what we saw happen in vulnerable neighborhoods in the 80s. The transformation. I mean, it was cleansing. I mean, there's nothing more like what I was thinking about what happened in Flint, and it's no different here. And at the same time, we had, and I've said this, Nancy riding around on the tank and on her Just Say No campaign, and I couldn't find a single clip of her riding around. So here's the CIA's website about, the actual thing. You can go to their website and talk about it, or it talks about the dark lines. Well, I couldn't find the actual footage of Nancy anywhere. I was able to confirm that it happened. And I've looked through several documentaries. I'm trying to watch the Reagan ones, but it's really strange because what I pulled up is not the one that I remember. So I'm trying to find it somewhere. It was because I don't have Showtime. Anyways, I don't know if it'll be in there or not. I hate that I say anyways and right so much. I've got to do better about this, like being more engaging. And let me keep going. So yes, the first influencer right here, I'm not going to keep going because I was just going to go through the presidents and what they have given us, but no one has been even close to the social programs that FDR enacted. Bernie would have been it, and he was way more progressive than FDR. They were never going to give us him. Never. They were never going to give us him, and we have got to collectively do something different. And AI is like, history has shown that neutrality is a luxury we cannot afford. And we can't afford to wait any longer. And I was like, why are you gassing me up, friend? Where am I supposed to run with this information right now? I can't go save the world. Nobody wants to hear it. At least not on Facebook. Don't forget to hit those buttons over there. I hope your day doesn't suck. Okay, love y'all.